Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I know everyone's pretty time poor at the moment, given exams is only 2 weeks away and it's very late notice, but thank you very much for attending, and we're honoured to have Miss Julie Bishop here with us today. So a quick introduction to ACCIA, the Australia-China Youth Association. For those of you not familiar with us, we're a grassroots non-profit organisation dedicated to promoting opportunities for young Australians and Chinese, and to aim to cross-cultural engagement through careers, education and people-to-people exchange. Now, ACCIA operates at both an international, national and university chapter, and we will be launching our official website, which is there as you can see, in March next year, which will be Australia's first one-stop for young Australians, and it will cover careers, education and people-to-people, as I mentioned. For those of you who might like to join ACCIA, please speak to myself or Henry after this speech. Henry, give a wave. Thank you. Now, we're very delighted to have Ms Bishop here to speak at our forum today. Ms Bishop is a Deputy Leader for the Federal Opposition and the Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs. She's had extensive experience in government, having also served as a Cabinet Minister in the Howard Government as Minister for Education, Science and Training, as well as Minister assisting the Prime Minister for Women's Issues. Julie began her political career when she was elected to the House of Reps as a member for Curtin and in WA 1998. She has since been re-elected 3 times and has also served on a number of parliamentary and policy committees, such as the Chair of Joint Standing Committee on Treaties and Government Policy Committee on Foreign Affairs and Trade. Prior to entering Parliament, Miss Bishop was also a commercial litigation lawyer at Clayton Utz, where she was managing partner of the Perth firm until 1998. Ms Bishop graduated with a Bachelor of Laws from the University of Adelaide in 1978 and Harvard Business School in 1996. Today, Ms Bishop will be speaking to us on the Coalition's vision for a more Asia-literate Australia. This is currently a very significant issue and topical debate in light of the Rudd government's Asian literacy grants to Australian primary and secondary schools, and in his promotion of regional organisations such as the Asia-Pacific Community. We hope that Ms Bishop will be able to shed some light for us onto the Coalition's policy and strategies towards increasing Asia literacy in how the opposition seeks to engage with the Asia-Pacific region and build upon our relationships with our neighbours in the coming decades. Ms Bishop will speak for approximately half an hour, and her speech will be followed by a Q&A session. So I encourage everyone to prepare some questions for her to ask at the end. So let's welcome Ms Bishop.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction, and thank you for all being here so late on a Thursday evening. I have just completed a busy day in Parliament. All days in Parliament are busy, but this one was particularly taxing, so thank you for staying back to hear me speak. I commend the ANU chapter of the Australia-China Youth Association, and I think it's wonderful that you've got so many people here this evening to talk more about how we can promote better relations between the people of Australia and the people of China. I have long held the view that one of the most significant ways to increase engagement with another nation is through student exchange. And this obviously has to be a long-term aim. But if students are able to spend time living, studying, working in another country, over time you create a level of understanding, mutual respect with that country that nothing else could replace. And if there are more opportunities for Australian students to study and live in China, and Chinese students to study and live in Australia, we will have a body of the population in our country and in China that will have a very special attachment to that other country, a very special attachment. And I can think of no other way over the long term to build a longer lasting and deeper relationship with another country. And China will be one of the most significant countries for Australia's future in the coming century. The 21st century will be the century of the Asia Pacific, and China will be one of the major players in this century. Australia already has a strong bilateral relationship with China. I'm very proud of what we were able to achieve under the Howard government for the 11 years that we were in office. We were able to develop a relationship based on mutual respect. We had issues with aspects of the Chinese government, as they had with us. But we dealt with those differences in a respectful, consistent and coherent way. And I'm very much of the view that you cannot rely on strengthening a relationship by assuming that the heads of government and officials will be able to drive the relationship. Sure, it's important for governments to enhance the relationship. It is important for our officials to engage at the appropriate level. It's important for our chiefs of enterprise, our CEOs, our business people to engage. But we need the general population to have a better, warmer understanding of each other's country. Now, not everybody can pack up and head overseas to develop that relationship, but students can have that opportunity. And students, by their very nature, are bright, young, talented, intelligent people. And if they had the opportunity to spend time in China and Chinese students spend time in Australia, we can develop that really strong base for our relationship into the future. I was Education Minister from January 2006 until November 2007. And one of my aims, and something that I would hope the Coalition would continue when we return to government, one of my aims was to promote greater student exchange. I held a conference, an international education conference in Brisbane in 2006, and invited education ministers or the equivalent minister from countries across the Asia Pacific. And they turned up. It was a fantastic conference. We had so many representatives from countries that were so important to Australia and to each other. And it was like a mini United Nations, except narrowed to the Asia Pacific. And there are many things on the agenda, such as how to make university qualifications recognised in other countries and trying to raise standards, a whole raft of issues. But one of the agenda items that caused the most discussion was this idea of increasing student exchange. Because everybody could see the benefits in having the young people of one country spending time in the country of importance to that country. The mutual respect, as I've said, but the understanding of the culture, the society, the people, just everyday life. Unless you've lived there, you can't really say you understand. So I looked at the statistics, and let's take China, for example, not all of the Asia Pacific countries, but I did look at them all. But I looked at the statistics. About 90,000 Chinese students were studying in Australia in 2008. It's about, or 2006, it's about the same now. So about 90,000 students. There were less than 1,000 Australian students studying in China. Now, I know there's a per capita argument, but nevertheless, it struck me that only 1,000 Australian students, that's at every level, were studying in China. And I thought, well, what a wasted opportunity.